Oh, hello there. Tim G5TM, just spinning around the bands, listening on 20 meters at the moment. And it got me thinking, actually, about using the DX cluster. Do you use the cluster as a tool? Do you think it's any good? Is it worth using it? Well, let's have a look at it. Well, thanks for joining me, and if you're new to the channel, then thank you. And think about clicking that subscribe button and the notification bell. And also, if you're someone who's been here before, great to have you back. And I hope you're all keeping well, of course, given the current situation. Now, the DX cluster. Are you a lover? Are you a hater? Or if, like me, you're a bit of a, don't really know. I use it, I have to say, on my mobile phone. I've got an app called DX Watch. And I use it sometimes to check whether any bands are open, especially the higher bands, really, 10, 12, 15, 17, that kind of thing. And 6 meters as well, although I've never actually used 6. But it's a useful gauge. It gives you a gauge for sporadic E, especially in the summer if bands are open. And there's other ways of doing it, but that's one tool that you can use it for. And I think it's a useful tool in that respect. But to be perfectly honest with you, if you're like me, and you're a very modest station, all right, you're a 100 watt station with a very modest wire antenna, you know, you're not a big gun, then to be honest with you, whilst I can give you some pointers for the existence of some exotic DX, for example, you might have a station in China on 20 meters, you might have a few VKs or ZLs floating about or whatever. Problem is, you see, once they're spotted by somebody, if somebody's worked them or somebody's heard them on the band, then it's going to attract the big guns straight away. So that immediately creates a very, potentially anyway, difficult pilot for you to bust through. Now, doesn't mean to say you can't, but the chances are you've either got to get your timing really, really well, so you get your call out just at that point where there's a bit of a lull in the pileup, or you've probably got to wait a fair while for a lot of the big guns to do their thing and move on to the next victim before you can maybe pick up some of the scraps yourself. Not always the case. Some people are very good at calling through pileups, but it does make it difficult, doesn't it? So in my mind, you see, what I tend to do, I like to spin the dial and listen, to be honest with you. If the band is open, then I tend not to go for the DX that's been spotted, but I just tend to float around and listen. And sometimes, you see, you'll come across on sniper mode, if you like, a station calling CQ. Or maybe just calling, is this frequency in use? And suddenly it sounds like an Australian or a Kiwi voice, and you're thinking, hang on. And I've worked a couple of stations in VK like that. I've just got that timing right. And I've been the first one in there, got my QSO, and I've listened, and within 2 or 3 minutes, somebody spotted him, and basically, there you go. And then you've got your kilowatt stations coming in, and you've got no hope, frankly. So sometimes it's about timing. So the cluster itself is a useful indication of whether a band is potentially open, but actually working that particular station that's been spotted can be a real big, a big obstacle. Not impossible, but it can be a big obstacle. It can be a big challenge when you're competing against these massive stations. So that can be a thing to look to consider if you're thinking of using the cluster. And probably a lot of us do use the cluster into some shape or form to see what the bands are like. Of course, it's very useful if you get spotted yourself. So the moral of the story there perhaps is to call CQ. Even if you are a modest station like me, find a clear part of the band, call CQ. Because if you get spotted, and if you get spotted by a DX station, then suddenly you can expect to be not necessarily swamped with calls, but have a steady run of calls because, somebody so-and-so's on the cluster, let's see if we can work him or her. So again, that's another option too. So the cluster actually is really weighted, of course, in favour of the station that's been spotted. And I suppose the moral of the story there is, well, call CQ, because you can never tell what can come your way. I mean, I was on a hill as a 2E0 about 2 or 3 years ago in December at Goodwood, calling CQ, VK. A couple of VKs came back. Short path, got lucky, I suppose. But I picked up the mic and I called CQ. So at the end of the day, I got spotted by the first one, and then boom, another one came to me. I got a few other stations as well from Europe calling me within fairly short order because I'd been spotted on the cluster. I only got spotted on the cluster if I called CQ, and that's what happened. Anyway, I thought I'd put that out there. Wonder what your thoughts are. Are you a fan of the DX cluster? Are you not a fan of the DX cluster? What do you use? Do you use apps? Do you use the computer at home? How do you use it? As I say, I use the DX Watch app. I think it's useful, but it certainly shouldn't be the whole picture for you when you're considering whether a band is open or not, or if you're looking to chase a particular station to try and work them. Thanks for watching. 73. As I say, if you like what you see, click subscribe, and lovely to have you on board. Take care till the next time. Bye bye.